One of the most insufferable groups online is, without a doubt, men's rights activists. Society wants to take away masculinity. There's a war on masculinity. Well, guess what? No one actually gives a fuck about masculinity. Be as manly and alpha as you want. I don't care, nor does anyone else, and no one is trying to take that away from you. It is just paranoia. The closest thing I've ever heard to an actual argument advocating against masculinity is this: people who skew away from traditional masculine norms are valid. I personally believe that's a reasonable sentiment, and I think most people believe that's a reasonable sentiment, but that's a point of contention for a lot of these MRA types of people. And that is my problem with the MRA movement. It is all about freedom and equality for men who fit into certain characteristics, but for the men who don't, well, fuck them. They're betas, soy boys, whatever other dumb pejorative also exists to describe quote-unquote unmanly men in these spheres. The frustrating part is, many of these people are well aware of the crushing expectations men face in this world, and the unfair societal norms they are expected to live up to, but they jump to the completely wrong conclusions for these issues. They instead blame women and feminism instead of patriarchal society. Throughout history, men have always been seen as the breadwinners, the people who are not supposed to show vulnerability because that would not be quote-unquote masculine. And these are, of course, absolutely bullshit norms that should be abolished, and it's completely okay if any man wants to subvert these norms, and I notice a bit of a contradiction when it comes to these issues among MRA types. They're all for men's liberation, but still hold the societal norms that many men view as crushing in reverence. Many advocate for the way things were decades ago, where men were the ones that went to work, brought home the money, put food on the table, and all the women did were stay at home, take care of the kids, and clean the house. You see, if two partners were mutually okay with pursuing this type of lifestyle, and it is entirely their own choice, then fine, whatever. It's none of my business, nor is it the business of anyone else. But when it comes to wanting to enforce this type of lifestyle on everyone, and wanting it to become the norm again, that's where I have an issue. Forcing people to live a certain lifestyle places many in a box, because not everyone is equipped to live the lifestyle that you personally view as most ideal. No one is trying to take away whatever you perceive as traditional masculinity. All people are advocating for is that if one wants to break away from the set of gender norms that are placed upon them, that is completely okay. They are free to live the lives that they choose to lead. No one is attacking masculinity, no one is taking away masculinity. You're perfectly fine. You would think that these self-proclaimed men's rights activists would be supportive of all men pursuing the lives that they choose to lead, but that just simply does not seem to be the case with this movement. And that's what I hate about this movement. It has its finger on the pulse of the actual issues. They are able to identify the actual issues, but they come to the completely wrong conclusions. They want more male supremacy. They want to uphold gender norms that many people want to break away from. They weaponize things like the higher rate of men committing suicide to support anti-feminist and, frankly, misogynistic rhetoric. A lot of it has to do with the bullshit notion I mentioned earlier. Vulnerability equals unmasculine. Many men feel reluctant to talk about their issues regarding depression and suicidal ideation because of the set of norms that were ingrained into them from a young age. Of course, there are other factors that lead to one taking their own life, like things going on in their personal life and whatnot, but even just talking about your mental health issues can go a really long way, and a lot of men feel uncomfortable doing that. I myself have struggled with this. I've always had trouble talking about things like my depression to other people in my personal life, out of irrational fear that I would be putting my masculinity on the line, because at a young age my father always drilled into my head, men don't cry, men don't show vulnerability. It is that exact type of, I'm gonna say it, toxic masculinity that continues to hold men back, that continues the problems that many men face to this day. Not every man possesses those hard-as-a-rock individualist personality traits, and that's perfectly okay. This isn't the feminization of men or whatever other ridiculous thing you want to call it. It just means that not every man fits into the same box. They are perfectly valid individuals living life the way they choose to live it, and you can live life the way you choose to live it, and if that means being masculine The alpha male? Fine. Live life the way you choose to live it. No one is stopping you. No one is trying to demonize that lifestyle. I have nothing against masculinity. I am only against the expectation that all people must live up to a certain set of standards and live a certain lifestyle, all predicated on the set of genitalia they were born with. Or, let me word that more simply, I am against dictating the lives of other people. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. I just wish the irrational fear-mongering would end already, but it's probably not going to, unfortunately, because after all, I'm talking about a fairly large community of people who are probably not going to be swayed by anything anyone says, let alone anything I say. But whatever, continue to advocate for the equality and freedom of all men, while you shun the men who you deem as not masculine enough, because yeah, that totally helps your cause. And also, by all means, keep pumping out that woman bad rhetoric while you continue to wonder why you can't get a partner, because that is comedy gold for me and a lot of other people. Even though I'm forever alone myself. But hey, at least I don't pass the blame onto other people for that. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye bye.